All right. Welcome, everybody, to today's Town of Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. The date is, let's see, maybe August 27th, 2026. To begin with, we have a message from the Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Please note, this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, including the use of AI note-taking app, please let it be known. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 28, 2025 signing of Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 20, until June 30th, 2027. This meeting of the Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the number 1-508-945-4410, conference ID 164-110-147 #, or join the meeting online via the Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV Xfinity Channel 1072, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. In accordance with the town policy, the public can speak to any issue or hearing or business item on the agenda during the meeting when recognized by the chair. So just for the folks who haven't been to one of our meetings or seen it before, we have procedural steps that we follow. First, we're going to take a roll call of all board members. We're going to ask if any citizens or non-board members participating in the call via the phone for their name and last four digits of their phone number for identification purposes. The hearing notice will be read by Sarah Clark, or PPO. You or your representative, what? Oh, did I do something wrong?
APO, yeah, right?
PPO,
Yeah,
right?
you go.
You or your representative present your appeal or application. Anyone in favor of the appeal or application may speak for a 5-minute time limit. The chair will read or summarize all letters received by the board in reference to the application. Anyone against the appeal or application may speak or ask a question, again for a 5-minute time limit. The applicant may rebut any comments that were made in testimony. Board members may direct questions to anyone present. The board hears any further information. The board closes the public hearing, and then the board will begin to deliberate. The board votes on the appeal or application. All votes are taken by roll call. In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the granting of a special permit, variance, or appeal requires the supermajority, which is 4 out of 5, not just the simple majority, meaning that you need 4 of the 5 voting members to approve the application to succeed. Voting today will be Dave Veach, Paul Semple, Lee Hovey, myself, Steve DeBoer, and Dave Nixon. At the end of the meeting, we'll close the meeting via verbal confirmation and note the time of the adjournment.
Thank you, Steve. First, we will have a roll call to approve this form of meeting.
David H. Veach, and I approve this format.
Paul C. Semple, and I approve this format.
David S. Nixon, I approve.
Stephen D. DeBoer, and I approve.
Lee Hovey, and I approve.
Next, we have 3 sets of minutes. Dave, let's start with the 25th of June, please.
Okay, so I will move approval of the minutes of June 25th as presented.
I will second the motion and vote yes.
I vote yes.
Steve votes yes.
And I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay, July 9th, please.
July 9th, I was not present, Dave, so.
Okay.
I think perhaps Paul.
If you would hand, yeah.
And I,
Paul?
I will move to approve the minutes of July 27th,
can I offer a change?
and we'll listen to any emotions.
I'm listed as not being present for the meeting, and so on the final page, page 14, remove my name as having moved to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, okay. All right, we need a second on that? A minute? Anybody?
Well, I was seconded, but I think Paul said the wrong date of the minutes.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's July 9th here.
What's the correct date, please?
Correct date is July 9.
In
Okay.
that case, I will second.
Okay. Okay. All right, we need a vote. Paul?
I will vote yes, but I guess we should check to see what the change should be on the voting.
Okay.
Since Dave is voting, moving to adjourn, I think I moved to adjourn on that date. So I'll make, with that change, vote yes.
All right, okay.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote yes, okay. And then we're on to,
So now we're on
July 16th.
July 16th, in which I can participate again. So I would move approval of the minutes for July 16th as presented.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Veach votes yes.
I vote yes.
Steve votes yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, thank you. So, Sarah, application 26-063, please, 80 Middle Road.
Application number 26-063, Goucher Family Revocable Trust, care of SV Design LLC, 693 Main Street, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 80 Middle Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 11K, Block 45, Lot HC 61. The applicant proposes to change, alter, or expand a nonconforming dwelling in a nonconforming lot via the construction of additions. The existing dwelling is nonconforming, and it is located 34.2 feet from Middle Road and 30.5 feet from Cove Road, where a 40-foot setback is required. The proposed additions comply with road and abutter setback requirements. The existing building coverage is 2,931 square feet, and the proposed building coverage is 3,205 square feet, where 2,900 square feet is the maximum allowed. The lot contains 22,630 square feet in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Protective Bylaw. This was continued from August 13th, 2026.
Paul?
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. As we discussed last time, we're expanding the breezeway. And in the previous iteration, we had requested an addition of 247 square feet, which included the front overhang, additions towards the front, additions towards the back, and the bulkhead. Since that time, we've tried to wring this thing out a little bit. We heard the comments. We understood the anxiety about adding square footage on a pre-existing non-conforming lot, including lot area. So we have gone through the process, and I gave you a sheet Z1B, and this is maybe the most helpful sheet to describe where we wrung out the area. On the front portion of the addition, we pulled the structure back a foot and pulled the covered porch back another 8 inches on top of that. We've taken the back part of the addition and pulled that in about 6 inches across the back and removed the bulkhead. Total savings of square feet is 92, so we've subtracted 92 square feet from the previous 274 square foot addition. So the request here is 182 square feet. 54 of that square feet is included in that front porch overhang. So our modest addition here of about 128 habitable square feet really does transform the first floor area of our client's house here as a space where they can gather collectively with their family. That is the intent of the project. The intent of the additions is to create a gathering space on the inside. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Is there anyone here today or on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak in favor, only in favor of this application? Please indicate you'd like to join the conversation. I don't see anyone. I'd read the correspondence at this time, but we don't have any. So I would say, is there anyone here today or on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak either A, against this application, or B, has a question? Don't see anyone. Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Dave Veach?
I have no questions.
Paul?
I have no questions.
Steve?
I have no questions.
No questions.
I have no questions either. Okay. Dave?
Yeah, I'll move you to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Veach votes yes.
I vote yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
Okay, deliberations. Paul?
Well, we heard this one time earlier. The concerns expressed by some members of the board have been addressed, so I have no problem with the application as currently framed.
Steve?
Yeah, I think I was probably okay with the original version of this, but I understand some of the concerns. But I think this is a good project, and it'll help the family out a bit.
Lee?
Yeah, I liked the original version as well, and I was ready to approve it. But I do appreciate your client's willingness to modify a little bit, and I like this a lot, so I will approve it.
Dave Veach?
I agree with all the previous comments.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was one of the ones that objected initially, but Paul has made some changes that satisfy me, so thank you very much. Okay, Dave?
So I would move approval of application number 26-063. My sense with this would be just our first condition. I don't think we necessarily need to. So that would be with the condition of all construction activity and vehicles be contained on site or neighboring property with permission of the property owner. I'll leave it at that.
I will second the motion and vote yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
And I vote
Unanimous
yes.
vote, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, Sarah, we're on to 26-067, please.
Application number 26-067, Wood Carver Knoll Nominee Trust, care of Michael D. Ford Esquire, P.O. Box 485, West Harwich, Mass. 02671. Owner of property located at 128 Wood Carver Knoll, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 11D, Block 39, Lot F9. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a nonconforming dwelling in a nonconforming lot via the construction of additions. The existing dwelling is nonconforming in that it is located 7 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District, top of bank, and 17 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District, floodplain 11. The proposed southeasterly addition will be nonconforming in that it will be located 22 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District, top of bank, and the northerly addition will be nonconforming in that it will be located 17 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District, floodplain elevation 11, where a 50-foot setback is required. The existing building coverage is 4,055 square feet, 33.2%, and the proposed building coverage is 4,427 square feet, 36.3%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is nonconforming in that it contains 12,204 square feet of buildable upland, where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Protective Bylaw.
Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Attorney Mike Ford representing Wood Carver Knoll Nominee Trust, together with John Barker, architect of PSD. The proposal, as read by Sarah, is for some alterations and extensions to a previously or prior nonconforming structure and a nonconforming lot. This applicant was before you 2.5 years or so ago, maybe 3 years ago, for a special permit, very similar, and it was granted. And they did not go forward with that special permit, rethought some of the changes, and decided to come back and—
Attorney Ford?
Yes.
Can you hold on for just a second? It looks like we've lost the remote meeting for—
Absolutely, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
all part of being a hybrid, I guess.
Back in business.
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Sorry for the delay, folks. Mr. Ford, please continue.
Yes. Mr. Chair, would you like me to start at the beginning again? Just, I'm not sure when they left us.
We all have, short memories, but I think we can remember what you said.
Thank you. Thank you. So as I was saying, when we lost the remote, these applicants were before the board a couple of years ago, and the board granted special permit 22-130, which authorized a number of alterations and extensions similar to what's here. They did not proceed with that and decided to make some changes. Their prior designer was Mark Zebrat, the late Mark Zebrat, and so they sought a new designer. They ended up with PSD, and PSD has taken those plans and reworked them at the client's instruction to make some minor changes to what the board previously approved. That said, we're here not to modify that prior approval, but to speak a special permit on its own. And we understand that the criteria is this substantially more detrimental than what exists, not necessarily what was approved previously. But I wanted to bring that to your attention as we start out. So there are two things that trigger the need for the special permit. One, the lot is smaller than required. And two, the house is non-conforming in a couple of ways in terms of the setbacks with respect to the floodplain and the Conservancy District. And the house is non-conforming in terms of building coverage. So with that, what I'd like to do, Mr. Chairman, is have Mr. Barker kind of walk you through what these proposed changes are, and then it'll come back to me, and I'll kind of show you where we believe we meet your criteria.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. John Barker, Paulina Savory de Silva. So I guess starting with, the top image is the previously approved plan, which is not as pertinent as the lower images, which are our new proposed elevations. The bottom left corner is the west elevation. We are proposing a canopy and stoop at the side entry door off the rear of the building. This provides additional coverage of the covered porch. On the front elevation, to the the elevation drawing to the right side, the green is the existing entry vestibule, which is to be removed. We are adding dormer above on the main mass of the building, as well as a dormer on the left-hand side of the front elevation of the building, and a new covered front entry porch just to the left of the existing garage doors. If you go to the next slide, as we wrap around the building, looking at the east elevation, there's the side view of the newly proposed dormer on the front with some additional habitable living space above on the second floor on the rear side, as well as some roofed covered rear deck space, which is also visible on the rear elevation on the image to the right. It is worth noting that the new roof line does come across and create an additional bit of coverage that is shown on all of the plan drawings. It's just not highlighted in red on this particular elevation. So the gist of the additions are new covered entry at the front entry, new covered canopy porch at the rear side, sliding door, a little bit of additional habitable space on the second floor that exists over the existing deck, as well as the continuation of the roof line across the rear of the building. One of the biggest goals of the project is to provide a little more weather protection at the sliders and the doorways. There is, over the years, has been a fair amount of leaking and water infiltration on those waterfront exposed doors. So the majority of the additional coverage that we are proposing, the 372 square feet, of that, 330 is covered porch, covered entry, or roof overhang to provide weather protection. It's only an additional 42 square feet of habitable space, and that habitable space actually occurs in a cantilevered second floor over a covered porch. The dormer and the additional volume on the second floor does provide some additional gross floor area. We're proposing an additional 567 square feet of GFA, which is, I guess it's not relevant, but less of an increase than the previously approved permit.
Okay, if I could pick it up there, Mr. Chairman, and walk through the criteria.
Certainly.
The first is adequacy of size of the site, including but not limited to maximum lot, building coverage, and setbacks. I've laid out there what the changes are, and as John indicated, there is an increase in building coverage, but in terms of building coverage, it's habitable. It's limited to the 42 square feet. Most of it, as John indicated, in terms of coverage, is dealing with the entranceways and the creation of covered porches over areas that are deck. The other thing we did, which was not included in the last special permit, but which we find is a good thing to do these days, is to add 2 inches of coverage all around the house, because they were doing some existing clapboard changes and so forth. And so in order to be sure that they met all of the coverage and setbacks at the end of the day when they file the final plan, we've added that 2 inches in, and that's part of that increased coverage all the way around the house. So we'd suggest respectfully that the site is adequate for these alterations and extensions to the house. Compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. If you've been out there, you've seen that it's in keeping with the other houses in that particular area. It does get a little larger, but not much. It's 36.3%, and currently it's 32.3%. So there is a percentage. It's 327 square feet in total. So we'd suggest that the structure continues, as you found in your last special permit, to be in keeping with the surrounding immediate neighborhood. The extent of the proposed increase in nonconforming nature of the structure or use. Again, we've got a couple of adjustments on the setbacks, which frankly are minimal, and those are generally where we've taken a deck off of an entryway or sliders and turned it into some porch area with some coverage, and that creates the setback nonconformities. The existing one that's 22 stays at 22. The existing one at 17 stays at 17. And the closest one over to the floodplain elevation 11 at 7 simply stays at 7. So Those are the increases in the nonconforming nature of the structure. Obviously, the lot is nonconforming and will continue to be nonconforming. Suitability of the site, including but not limited to impact on neighboring properties or natural environment, including slopes, vegetation, wetlands, groundwater, water bodies. We don't believe there'll be any negative impact on neighboring properties or the wetlands. The Conservation Commission, upon inquiry by Dave Clark to the agent, has suggested that a simple plan change filing is all that's necessary here. They did not feel that the proposed changes rose to the level of the necessity of a hearing. 5, the impact of scale, siting, and mass on neighborhood visual character, including views, vistas, and streetscapes. Again, we'd suggest there's no negative impact here. In fact, we think that some of the architectural style of the house is improved with the addition of the porches and the cover-overs over many of the entranceways that are there, making a more functional house and protected from the elements. Compatibility of the proposed use with neighboring uses, it's residential, will continue to be residential. Adequacy of sewage disposal, the Board of Health found, and we're using the existing septic system, is indeed adequate for the 5 bedrooms that continue to be proposed. I'd suggest there's no impact on traffic flow and safety or noise or litter. There are adequate utilities. The formula of business is not applicable. Number 12 is applicable. There is an extent of lateral expansion within the floodplain. What is being expanded is in one area where there is currently a deck. There'll be a porch up over that deck. That's a raised deck now with gravel underneath it. And there's a terrace next to that existing deck, and 100 feet of that terrace will be taken up and made part of that porch. And that's in the floodplain. And so in conferring with Dave Clark, he's indicated to me that if you take the 100 feet of terrace, which will become gravel because it'll be on the raised porch, there will be, in fact, a decrease in the impervious area within the floodplain. So I think we meet that standard under number 12. So that would be our presentation, Mr. Chairman. I did have PSD do a calculation sheet that I included on the back of my findings, which I thought you might find instructive. And what John Barker did there was simply take the building coverage of the existing, the proposed, to show you what the increase was in terms of building coverage, much of which, as he indicated, is the porches and the entranceways, and then the gross floor area, because although gross floor area is not a metric, I thought it was important to get that out in front of the board as well. And there's an existing and the proposed on the gross floor area. I will tell you that the gross floor area has decreased by 93 square feet from the last special permit you granted with alterations and changes. This one's a little smaller in terms of gross floor area than the last one that was approved in '22. So that's our presentation, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there anyone here today or on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate you'd like to join the conversation. Don't see anybody. I'll read the correspondence. First, dated August 24th, from Andrew Grover. He is our new health agent for the town of Chatham. He writes, based on the existing records and permits on file, I found that the existing dwelling is approved as a 5-bedroom residence and the existing on-site septic is sized for 5. The proposed renovations do not encroach on the existing septic system. The applicants are proposing to utilize the existing septic system. The media room on the second floor at the top of the stairs should have a 6-foot cased opening and not be fitted with doors. If it were fitted with doors, it would meet the health department definition of a bedroom. This residence should not exceed 5 bedrooms. Based on these findings, I find the aspects of the proposed project that fall within the health department's jurisdiction to be acceptable, provided that the total number of bedrooms does not exceed 5. Then we have a note. This is from the Conservation Commission, Town of Chatham. They write on August 13th. The applicant submitted a notice of intent on August 22nd, 2022. On November 2nd, 2022, the project was conditioned to meet the performance standards under the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Chatham Local Wetland Bylaw Chapter. A field change request was submitted on July 28, 2026 to eliminate the covered entry on the north side, create a covered entry on the southwest corner over an existing step, and enlarge the addition off the southwest corner over an existing patio. The commission approved the field change on August 12, 2026. That's the extent of the correspondence. Is there anyone here today or on Microsoft Teams that wishes to either A, speak against this application, or B, has a question? If so, please indicate you'd like to join the conversation. Don't see anyone. Questions from the board? Paul?
As I look at your figures on the last page here, Mike, do I understand that the delta, the increase in the proposed building coverage is about 267 square feet? And the question I had is some of that made up by the 2 inches that you're adding to the siding?
Some of that is, John, can you give me an estimate of how much is that?
Yeah, so just to be clear, Mr. Simple, the first row, the current application, we're looking at a delta of 372.
Right.
The previously approved was the 267. And of that, I don't have the figure in front of me. I would have to say 100 to 150 ballpark square feet would be.
Okay, it always amazes me how much is added by adding 2 inches.
Yes,
It
right.
adds up quickly.
You put new siding on.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Steve?
I don't think I have any questions.
Lee?
You may have said this already, but the building height is not changing, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And the addition on the south, the 22 feet from the CCD, that is a deck, correct?
That is, yes. Yes, so the 22-foot measurement from the conservation line is to the deck.
Okay.
And that deck is existing. We're actually reducing the size of the deck. So currently, this corner exists and their deck extends.
Oh, yeah.
out and it gets enlarged. So we're removing this section of deck here. But there is no change to the setback of that 22 feet,
Okay, thank you.
that corner.
Dave Each?
I have no questions, Sam.
No do I.
I will move to close the hearing and move into deliberations.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Beach votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Steve? Deliberations.
Well, I think there's some good changes here, the elimination of the small portion of that deck that's in the back. So you're getting a little bit further away from the conservation area. And it looks like a lot of the square footage is actually dormer space and second floor construction. And it's not too much that's actually touching the ground, I don't think, except for maybe that porch that's in the front.
That's correct.
I think it's fine. It's probably a percentage point more than what was previously approved a few years ago, but I really don't think it's harmful.
Lee?
I actually like these changes. I like that you've streamlined the deck a little bit, and I like that you've tucked a little covered porch under the dormer. I think that's a really nice feature. I also like the fact that you've moved the entryway on the northern side, and so I mean, I know you're over, but I think the changes and the mass is fine. I like these changes a lot, and I will probably approve this one.
Thank you.
Dave Each?
Yeah, I was participating in the approval of the previous proposal, and I think this improves on that, actually, in many respects. certainly not substantially detrimental to the neighborhood in any way, and so I'll be happy to support it.
Paul?
Yes, I agree. This is a pretty isolated property. You're at the very end of the road, right on the water, and pretty far away from any other houses other than neighbors who are very close. But in general, it's not going to be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood in any way.
Well, I feel very different than the other members. You know, this is a scenario where the max is supposed to be 15%, and it's currently 33.2. And you want to go further, 36.3. This is, compared to the 15% max, these numbers are gigantic. The extra square footage we're talking about, if we compare what's there today with what you want to do, which is what we should be doing, it's adding an additional 372 square feet. And I know your argument about adding what happened before and all that. Well, this is just too much. If I go through the criteria, adequately the size of the site, no, it's not. It's way less than this 33.2 that it currently is. Compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. We don't have any presentation from you folks about what the neighboring properties might be, but so I'm just looking at 30, you want to go up to 36.3%? Wow. Extent of the proposed increase, again, it's an extra 372 feet. You know, where do you stop? Where do you stop? We get complaints in town about houses that are just keep getting bigger, bigger, bigger. This is an excellent example of it. So overall, I don't think this is a special permit that should be approved. And that's my opinion. Okay. Dave?
Okay, well, I would move approval for application number 26-067. I think my thought is our standard conditions would be applicable in this setting. So those would be all construction activity and vehicles to be contained on site or at a neighboring property with permission of the property owner. Between June 30th and Labor Day, no exterior construction allowed. No work permitted on the weekends. Construction activity between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. only.
I will second the motion and vote yes.
Veach votes yes.
I vote no.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
Okay, that passes 4-1.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Sarah, 26-064, please.
Application number 26-064, Sherborne Development Group LLC, care of William F. Riley Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 45 Crows Pond Road, also shown in the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 10K, Block 5, Lot C11. The applicant proposes to change, alter, or expand a nonconforming dwelling on a nonconforming lot via the demolition of the existing dwelling and the construction of a new dwelling. The existing dwelling is nonconforming in that it is located 20.6 feet from the northerly abutter. The proposed dwelling will be nonconforming in that it will be located 21 feet from the northerly abutter where a 25-foot setback is required. The existing building coverage is 1,966 square feet, and the proposed building coverage is 2,843 square feet, where 2,850 square feet is the maximum allowed. The lot is nonconforming in that it contains 21,687 square feet in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Protective Bylaw.
Mr. Riley.
Good afternoon. I'm representing David Parrish of Sherborne Development here, and replacing an older cottage on Crow's Pond Road. And the one thing that I would like to address up front is the fact that, we're required to provide you with the gross floor area. And in this case, the gross floor area is over 7,000 square feet. So I'm going to ask you not to really pay attention to that, because our criteria number 5 really is scale, siding, and mass, and its effect on the neighborhood. And if we have the sheet that shows, there you go, that one. So that's the view from the street. Now, I passed out copies of field cards for neighboring properties. And if you want to go through them briefly, you'll see that many of the houses in this neighborhood, as they front the street, are very similar. Of course, the house across the street is 11,000 square feet of gross floor area. So, but when you turn onto Crow's Pond Road, as you look to the left, what you see is the Christopher Ryder House condominiums. Again, a very substantial building. And the next building on the left is going to be David's design. Across the street, you have the 11,000 square foot house, which is very traditional design. The next house up from this house, the Pivarotti's, an older home, but it's a substantial home. It's got a substantial barn and a garage attached and a little living space attached to that. And as you go down, looking at each of the additional lots, all the way along, you see each one of them is an extension. They have a garage on one side and a living room on the other. And so they're very similar to the way this looks. And so what the design that David put together reduces the apparent mass. You've got the gable end, a one-story sunroom, and then over the garage, there's also living space, but you see the dormer stepped back, and between the gable end and the dormer over the garage, there's a little dormer in the middle of the roof. So as you're looking at the building, other than the gable end, everything is moving back away from your eye, so that the apparent mass is less. The building is also almost 45 feet back from the front line where 40 feet is required. So and what David's done, he's put the mass sort of on the back end of the building, so it's not visible from the street. So when you think about criteria number 5, scale, siding, and mass, and its impact on the neighborhood, you could find, which I hope you will, that although the design maximizes the square footage of the structure, of course, a lot of it is in the basement, but as you drive through the neighborhood, looking at the buildings, this building is not going to look any different and considerably smaller than its neighbor across the street, but very similar to all the homes along the street. So I'd ask you to keep that in mind while you consider the project. Another thing, we didn't have a landscape plan. And I drove by today, and David's crew started to remove some of the trees on the property. So I thought it would be important for you to understand David's plan for planting on the property. So I'll pass those out. You keep one. So David's also designing and building the house behind this one. planting plan.
Please, Mr. Riley, no talking.
So this is the landscape plan for the property behind. So
Mr. Riley has trouble understanding sometimes. We don't want to miss a single word.
Well, and that shows the wisdom of the chairman. So, in any event, so if any of you visit the site today, you will see that the trees have been removed. And so I wanted you to give you some idea of what the finished product's going to look like. And so,
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
address your name.
David Parrish, and I'm with Sherburne Development Group. So this is the landscape plan for the back lot, which is 35 Crow's Pond, which is directly behind 45. This is a project that we started last year. The house is pretty far along. The pool is in. We've begun landscaping. Last month, we planted about 50 trees around the perimeter of the property. We did some Thuja Green Giants. We did some Japanese cedars, and that was really the first phase of the landscaping. The second phase is going to begin this coming week. We have delivery coming in on Tuesday, and we're going to be putting in a series of hydrangeas, both the limelights, the bobo hydrangeas, inkberries for foundation plantings, and then a whole series of perennials around the pool area. This particular theme is really going to carry through to the front lot as well, using a lot of the same plantings and a very similar planting list. So I think, altogether, both properties here are really going to have a nice presentation.
All right, so what I'd like to do is run through the criteria now.
Please.
So adequacy of the size of the site in terms of the size of the proposed use. Here, we believe that the site is adequate for the proposed structure. We meet all setbacks except the north abutter setback, where we're 21 feet, where 25 feet are required. We're no closer to the northerly setback than the existing building. And the building is, the current building's 40 feet back from the street. And as proposed, it'll be over 44 feet back from the street. So, and we meet the height and coverage requirements of the bylaw. Compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. And this is where I ask you not to think about the gross floor area, if that's possible, but you look at how the building presents to the street as a scale siting in Mass, and how the neighboring properties present to the street. And I would suggest, as you look at those buildings, I would ask you to agree that this presentation to the street is very similar and very compatible with the neighboring properties. Extent of the proposed increase in non-conforming nature of the property. Principally, we haven't increased in living size, and under Bransford decision, that's an intensification of the non-conforming use on an undersized lot. So that's the only proposed increase in non-conforming nature. Suitability of the site, including but not limited to impact on neighboring properties, the natural environment, slopes, vegetation, wetlands, groundwater, water bodies, and stormwater runoff. As you've observed, I'm sure, the lot itself is very flat. When you look at the site plan from Dave Clark, I think there might be 1 foot of difference in elevation from the front to the back of the lot. So it's virtually flat. So we believe that there's going to be no issue with stormwater runoff and there's no wetlands or other water bodies in the close proximity that will be affected by the construction. So we come to number 5, which is scale, siding, and mass on neighborhood visual character, including views, vistas, and streetscapes. So principally here, we're talking about the streetscape, how this property presents to the street, and what impact it's going to have on the neighborhood visual character. And that's why I thought it was important to show you those field cards for the neighboring properties, because most of them are sort of rambling style. Like the property immediately adjacent, the former Holiday property, now Pivorato. They've got a low rambling structure, a sizable barn, a space, and a sizable antique, but a pretty big building. Again, so it covers a lot of the area of the lot. Across the street, although it's set way back, we've got the Parson property, which also covers a lot of the property. The next house on the right-hand side is Barbara Madison's home. Again, you've got a garage, a two-car garage on one side, and then the house rambles on to a family room at the far end, all of which is very similar to us. And one of the things David did I thought was clever is the far end of the building is just a one-story sunroom with a deck over it. And so, again, it reduces the mass as it presents to the street. And so all the buildings, most of the buildings don't do that. As you look at the field cards, most of them are two-story structures from beginning to end. And so I think you could find, and I hope you will, that the scale, siding, and mass, as it presents to the street and its effect on neighboring properties, is compatible with the neighborhood and is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Compatibility of the proposed use of the building, well, it's a single-family residence in a single-family neighborhood, so it's very much compatible. A method of sewage disposal, source of water, it's an on-site septic system, municipal water, and the drainage is certainly adequate under the circumstances. Impact on traffic flow and safety, we don't believe there will be any. In fact, what David has done, if you look on the site plan, you can see the driveway access to the home is off the panhandle that services David's lot behind, so that we think that we're going to reduce some of the traffic on the street. The noise and litter, we don't think there'll be any change, and all utilities are adequate. And numbers 11 and 12 are not applicable. So that'd be our presentation.
Thank you. Is there anyone here today or in Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate you'd like to join the conversation. Don't see anyone. I'll read the correspondence. This is from Andrew Grover, our health agent here in the town of Chatham. He writes on August 24th, based on the existing records and permits on file with the health department, the existing dwelling is approved as a 3-bedroom residence, and the existing on-site septic is sized for 3. Based on the proposed floor plans dated 5/14/26, with a revision 6/23/26, the proposed new dwelling maintains the approved 3-bedroom count. The applicants are proposing to modify the existing septic system by relocating the existing septic tank to comply with Title V setback. Based on these findings, I find the aspects of the proposed project fall within the health department's jurisdiction to be acceptable. And we have a note. This is from Christina Bassett. She was writing on behalf of the Historic Commission. She writes on Thursday, August 6th, attached, please find the application package and request for comment for 45 Crows Pond. This application will be heard at the August 27th ZBA meeting. please have any comments back to me. This is what Sarah Clark was writing. And they write, the Chatham Historical Commission imposed a one-year demolition delay that has expired. They imposed that delay in hopes that the owners would rework their plans to include the old home or save the old home another way. And that eliminates their involvement in the project. Is there anyone here today on Microsoft Teams that wishes to either speak against this or has a specific question? If so, please indicate you want to join the conversation. Don't see anybody. Questions from the ward? Lee.
My only question right now has to do with the ceiling heights. Can you tell me what the different ceiling heights are? Basement, first floor?
So it's a 9-foot pour, so it'll be 9 feet for the lower level, and then 9 foot on the first floor, and then 8 on the second.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Lee? No?
No, that's it for
Dave.
now.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. Bill, you just said something about driveway access and the panhandle to the other lot. That's not, I don't understand
Yeah,
that.
he misspoke on that. It's
Oh,
actually a
okay.
separate curb cut that's next to
Right,
the other
that's what
curb
I'm
cut for
seeing
the
is
back
there's
lot.
2 curb cuts there.
Yeah, okay, I apologize.
Yeah. And I think that's the only question I have, Dave. Thanks.
Paul?
I guess my question is, the landscaping plan that you've given us is for the lot which is behind this,
That's
correct?
correct.
That's where they're having construction right now.
We just wanted to show you similar.
I understand. And is this lot subject to Conservation Commission approval?
It is not.
Okay. One of the things I'm having some trouble in dealing with is the question of criteria 5 and the scale sighting and mass. The other examples you've discussed, the 11,000 square foot house and so forth, are way off the road. Christopher Ryder House is primarily off the road a bit. This particular other house that you've done is back a ways. So I'm having a little trouble understanding how the impact is going to be on the site from the road. The gable end is one of the things that really impacts it from my viewpoint. So I do have some concern about that area and that issue, but you've answered my questions. Thank you.
Dave?
I don't think I have any additional questions. I was going to ask about the driveway also, but that's been answered, so I'm good.
Okay. Dave?
I'll move to close the hearing, move into deliberations.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Each votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, deliberations, Dave?
Well, I guess this comes down to, for me, I don't like this, but I can't find it to be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. And the reason I say this, and this may not be fair at all, but I just want to say that for some reason, for me, lately, driving around town, I've come to really appreciate eastern red cedar trees. And so when I went out there and looked at this and I lost count. I couldn't even count them, 8, 9 of those trees taken down. And, I looked at it and I said, well, okay, it's development, it's developer. I understand. Sometimes developers will just clear a lot completely. Trees, brush, everything else. I'm getting tired of looking at it, but, it's within their rights to do that. I just couldn't help but wonder that a house couldn't have been designed here to have worked around some of those trees and the driveway and everything, worked around those trees already there. Well, that is a right to take the trees down. We're a zoning board, we're not a tree protection board, but that's the part I don't like. So but especially when I look across the street, immediate look across the street, which I actually saw that building from the water last week for the first time. And it kind of looked like a new Chatham Bars Inn from the water. And so I, especially when I see that, I mean, this is not, it's not a, it is, I don't necessarily agree with what Bill's presenting about it having, I think it is going to have somewhat more of an impact on the streetscape, but it's not, to me, it's not jarring enough in other respects that I could find it substantially more detrimental. So with that, I would probably support it. Thanks.
Paul?
Well, as I said, I have some problem with the scale sighting and mass without any presentation with respect to the landscaping and how this is actually going to look from the road and in the neighborhood. So I think I would need more information with respect to what the final perspective would be of the house from the road in the neighborhood in order to be able to say it meets the satisfactory criteria in that area. So my inclination would be to vote no based on the information that's currently provided, unless we were provided with something more.
Steve?
Well, I guess I'm okay with this project. I'm not a big fan of gambrels. I think they're becoming overdone, but I understand the reason behind them. I'm glad to see that I think there's a good portion of the massing of this house that's actually behind it and not visible from the street. So I think that helps a bit. You know, it meets the criteria except for the one setback for the northerly abutter that's actually slightly bigger now than it was before. You're right up against the square footage allowed. So you should be probably careful about that, because I think there was a previous application that 2 inches added 100 square feet. So you should be careful with that. But, you know, it meets our criteria. I'm not crazy about the design, but it's not my house. So I guess I'd be okay with it.
Lee?
Well, my first instincts when I saw this, and, you know, we're supposed to be comparing it to what's there now, you know, in terms of substantially detrimental or not. My first instinct was it's kind of pushing the max height and the max building coverage. I mean, you're within it, but you're kind of pushing it. I mean, I like some things about the building. I do like the one-story sunroom with the deck above. I think that's a really nice addition, and I appreciate you making that scale, because it does help with the mass. It's a lot. It's a lot when you look at what is there now. Will it fit into the neighborhood? Probably, because there are a lot of big houses in that neighborhood. My first instinct was it's just a lot. But, you know, I'm still not really sure how I'm going to vote, so that's what I have to say now.
When a house is tripled in size, such as this is, gross floor area currently is just short of 2,600, it's going up to short of 7,500. That's a gigantic leap, particularly for a three-bedroom home. I think it is eventually, when it's finished, going to impact the neighborhood's visual character. I really do. I mean, this is a huge house. And I'm inclined to vote no. Dave?
Just a minute, Mr. Chair. What I suggest is, request to continue, come back with it.
Okay.
What we'd like to do is request a continuance so we can provide a planting plan for this property as well. Because I think that's going to do a lot to ameliorate the way the building presents to the street. And hopefully help convince the members that it's not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Sarah, we don't have a lot of spaces, do we? What do you got?
I'm currently, for regular applications, scheduling for our October 22nd agenda. All of the other ones have 7 or 8 applications on them already. So October 22nd would be,
Or a little later if you wanted something in November.
October would be great.
October 22nd, okay. Is that your formal request, Mr. Riley?
Yes, it is.
I'll move to grant the request for continuance to October 22nd.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Veach votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote yes, that's
Thank
your,
you very much.
thank you, gentlemen. Okay. Let's go on to. Oh, all right. Okay, we're going to skip ahead here to 26-065, 270 Stage Island Road.
application number 26-065 Essex Fells Partners LLC, care of William G. Litchfield Esquire, 330 Orleans Road, North Chatham, Mass. 02650. Owner of property located at 270 Stage Island Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 13A2, Block 3, Lot D166. The applicants seek a dimensional variance for the construction of a new dwelling 31.1 feet from the road where a 40-foot setback is required. A dimensional variance is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 10, and Section 8D2C of the Protective Bylaw. Do you want the second application as well? Under application number 26-066, the applicant proposes to change, alter, or expand a nonconforming dwelling on a nonconforming lot via the demolition of the existing dwelling and the construction of a new dwelling. The existing dwelling is nonconforming and that it is located 31.9 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District. The proposed dwelling will be nonconforming and that it will be located 33.4 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District where a 50-foot setback is required. The existing building coverage is 4,287 square feet, 12%, and the proposed building coverage is 4,626 square feet, 10%. Square feet, 10%, where 10% is the maximum allowed. The lot contains 33,800 square feet of buildable upland in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the Protective Bylaw.
As Sarah has read, these are really two separate applications. The first one being for a variance, the second for a special permit. Let's talk about the first one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bill Litchfield, here on behalf of Reed and Susan Finney. Mr. Finney could not be here today, but Mrs. Finney is in the rear. And with us are Mike Tartamella and Colby Mackey of Patrick Ahern. As Sarah read and as the chair indicated, there are in fact two issues here. We became aware today of some concerns that had not been expressed to us until, hadn't seen the paperwork until today. So we understand, obviously, that even under the new statute, variances are still challenging. And as we, excuse me, are aware of some of the concerns, and because we want to be good neighbors, what we would propose and ask your approval we would ask to continue 26065, which is the variance, and also to continue 26066, which is the special permit, to a date of the board's choosing, and Sarah has suggested to me that October 22nd would be appropriate. However, we thought in the interest of economy of time, your time, because the Finneys do want to make some changes to the house, even if they don't seek a variance, and right now they intend, pardon me, not to seek a variance. We thought it would be useful, because you've been out there recently, because you have the plans, to have Patrick or Mike talk about what is proposed, go through the criteria, gauge your reaction, and we will be coming back to you with both a site plan and revised architectural plans, which we anticipate will not require a variance, and then present those to you on October 22nd, which I trust will address any concerns that you may have expressed to us today, and will also not require you to sit through a full hearing twice. So if that's acceptable, Mr. Chairman, that would be our proposal.
So, well, let's talk about the variance first, okay? Wouldn't it be cleaner and smarter to withdraw that?
Well, we can do that if that is the board's pleasure. We recognize that there are not four, we assume there are not four affirmative votes, but I haven't had a chance to talk to Mrs. Finney about that, so I can do so.
Yeah, I think that would be a wise first step, and I like the second step you mentioned about presenting the special permit, giving us a chance to ask questions about it and perhaps make some comments, and then ask for a continuance on that special permit.
Mrs. Finney, any
If you'd
objection
like,
to that? Bearing in mind, if it's withdrawn without prejudice, if it turns out that you would like to return to the board for a variance request, we could file again. No objection to that. So we would then ask your approval, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, to withdraw without prejudice, application number 26065.
Okay?
Yeah, I will move to grant the request for withdrawal without prejudice for application number 26-065.
I will second the motion and vote yes.
Veach votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote yes, that's a unanimous decision. Okay,
Thank you very much.
on to the special.
Special permit. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Same team, and if the board would like, before I go into the criteria, could have Mike or Colby make a presentation about the architectural design, if you would like that. Gentlemen?
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Mike Tartamella, Patrick Ahern Architect. If we could share the PDF slides, and if we could actually go to slide 24. So I'll try and be brief and give you a little bit of a snapshot of what the existing structure looks like today. This neighborhood is made up of a pretty consistent architectural vocabulary that you would find on the Cape. A lot of 1.5 and 2-story houses that have dormers in the roof lines, reverse gables, all sorts of things that we would traditionally see on the Cape. The house here is a 1.5-story house that's sort of spread out laterally. This lot's quite larger than most of the lots in this area. And by the nature of the conservation area and the lot shape and the existing setbacks, the existing structure has spread out more laterally and has been broken down and sort of cants itself along with the shoreline behind. We could go to the next slide. And the proposed massing that we've put together is also of the similar vocabulary of a 1.5-story house with pieces that look like they've been connected over time. That vocabulary is a gambrel roof in the center box with the 2 secondary boxes on the sides, stepping down in scale and connecting to what feels like was a detached carriage house that got attached over time. The building coverage on site, as was previously stated, is currently 4,287 square feet, which is 12.7%. The proposed is 4,626 square feet, which is 13.7%. So there's a 1% increase in lot coverage here. If we talk about, which I'm sure we will, square footage, most of this structure that's there is above grade, and the existing square footage is about just over 5,000 square feet. If we compare the two houses above grade, the proposed square footage here is just about 6,200 square feet, 6,275. So we're about an 18% increase. However, we're close in terms of the architectural character, the scale, the vocabulary, and not inconsistent with what we would also see in the general area. I'm happy to take any questions regarding the architecture, being in mind that we'd be back before you as well with some slight adjustments based on the setback changes. And in this case, the house was really designed with both the attitude to the street and the attitude to the rest of the property laterally, but also there's a substantial conservation area behind that we're navigating here too. And the proposed house has been pulled back and away from that conservation area to mitigate some of the impact on that resource area. And we've also reduced some of that, which currently protrudes into it. So happy to take any questions regarding the architecture.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As to the criteria, as you know, we start with adequacy of site, including building coverage and setbacks. It is, as you know, a neighborhood of generally large lots, but many of them are non-conforming as to buildable upland. I can't swear to the fact that every house on the outside of Stage Island Road is non-conforming as to buildable upland, but I eyeballed the 1992 flood maps and the 2014 flood maps, and I'm reasonably comfortable in saying that there is a paucity of buildable upland throughout the neighborhood. Many of the lots, while large, are also non-conforming as to frontage, as to setbacks, and a few are non-conforming as to size, because even though they were supposed to be 40,000 square feet under the original development scheme, many of them are 39,600 square feet. Locus, this lot is more than 2 acres. Unlike many lots on the outside of Stage Island Road, we have nearly double the required buildable upland. We got 38,000 square feet of buildable upland of the total of 2 acres. But the existing house and deck are non-conforming as to the top of the coastal bank and the coastal conservancy district. I think that you can find the site to be adequate for reconstruction of the house. It meets the sideline setbacks. We're actually a little bit further away from the abutter, and we're also slightly further away from the top of the coastal bank conservancy district. The coverage, as Mike indicated, is 13.7% of the upland, but it's only 5.2% of the entire lot. So this is not a question of endless increase. It's an increase of 339 square feet, which is only, again, as Mike said, only 1%. Moreover, it is located far back from the street. It will ultimately, I dare say, be located further back from the street, but it is, as originally proposed, it's to be located 93 feet from the pavement, where the legal requirement is only 40 feet. We'll get into the curious aspects of the lot. As to compatibility of size, again, we have a large lot. On the third page of the handout, we have a comparison. It is in a neighborhood of significant or large houses. Gross floor area is approximately 5,600 square feet on an 88,000 square foot lot. And while Chatham uses some, we all know there's some flaws in our bylaw, but one thing we have not yet adopted and I think would make sense is to consider floor area ratio. You've heard me speak about that in the past. That's the relationship, the size of all of the floors in the house, the size of the house to the size of the lot. And the floor area ratio of this house compared to a dozen along that part of the street from the, well, if you comp the hill and go to the left as if you're going to this house, From there, around the corner till you get to the Stage Harbor North view, from 321 Stage Island Road to 185 Stage Island Road. We have the second lowest floor area ratio of any house in that neighborhood, which is to say we're using relatively little or developing relatively little of the lot. As expanded by 330 or 40 square feet, it will remain compatible. Obviously, the size increases, but it is shielded from the street. As you know, and I think you've been out there since the stakes were put in the middle of our driveway. That's the legal layout of the road. So we're going to be far, far from the street. And beyond that, we're also shielded from the street by the lot shape because there are sort of wing lots on either side and by the existing vegetation. Assuming you approve the special permit, the floor area will be .10. It will be the third lowest in the neighborhood. The immediate abutters are .15 and .18. The range is up to .29. The house remains appropriate for and compatible with the neighborhood. As to the extent of increase in nonconformity, we are nonconforming, as Sarah indicated, as to the Coastal Conservancy District setback and the coverage of buildable upland. The coverage increases, as I said, by 339 square feet on a 2+ acre lot, while the proximity to the Coastal Conservancy District is improved. As to suitability of site, the site is suitable for the existing house, notwithstanding its proximity to the Coastal Conservancy District. And I think you can find it to be suitable for the reconstructed house. The plans were revised to accommodate suggestions from the Conservation Commission. Significant mitigation is proposed. We will meet all performance standards. The chair will read a letter later from the Conservation Commission, which was actually prepared to write an order of conditions on September 9th. That will not happen because we will be going back to them. As to scale, siting, mass views, and vistas, the existing house was built in 1984. It is sited appropriately on the lot. And again, the vegetation, the siting, and the shape of the lot reduce the impact on the streetscape. And unlike many, we meet the 40-foot setback from the layout and are actually 98 feet back from the pavement. We think there's a minimal impact at present on neighborhood views and vistas, and I think that the minor change in siting will continue that if you approve the special permit. There is a reasonable expansion of the footprint, 1%, as Mike indicated, but the shape of the lot, the vegetation, and the shielding factors remain. The house will be larger, but the impact on streetscape is much less than that of many neighboring houses. Houses on this street average approximately 55 feet back from the pavement. This house is 94 feet back from the pavement. As you know, Stage Island is paved at a very narrow width, but we're going to be far back from the street and will have, I think, minimum impact. As to compatibility of use, it will not change. The residential use will remain. The health agent has reviewed the proposal. We have town water on the Title V for 5 bedrooms, which will not change. So as to what is proposed there by the Patrick Ahern team, the question is whether that proposed new house, compliant as the sideline setbacks, compliant as just the height, closer to, originally proposed to be 94 feet back from the paper street, but it'll probably be 98 feet back, but at the same time further from the Coastal Conservancy District, whether that will be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. The new house will meet the Finney family's needs, but it remains in keeping with the scale of the neighborhood and the surroundings. It is a very large but curiously shaped lot, and that, together with the vegetation, tends to shield the house from the street, and the distance from the actual pavement, again, is nearly twice that of the average of Stage Island properties. But to the degree it is visible, I don't think that house has a negative impact on the street. Obviously, appearance is a matter of taste, but I think the Ahern design of traditional style, a central cape with doghouse door warmers and wings on either side, cedar shingles and muted colors. The middle portion is going to be the only part seen from the street. And again, we're going to be 90, nearly 100 feet back from the traveled way. So given the criteria and the plans, I think particularly in this location that you can find the proposed new house, which will be modified from what you've seen, is not substantially more detrimental. We'd be happy to hear your comments and to try to answer any questions.
Thank you. so is there anyone here today on Microsoft Teams or on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate you'd like to join the conversation. We have some correspondence. First, Andrew Grover, health agent, Town of Chatham, writes on the 24th of August, based on the existing records and permits on file with the Health Department, the existing dwelling is approved as a 5-bedroom residence, and the existing on-site septic is sized for 5 bedrooms. The proposed floor plans maintain the 5-bedroom count. Applicants are utilizing the existing septic with acceptable modifications. Based on these findings, I find the aspects of the proposed project that fall within the Health Department's jurisdiction to be acceptable. Then we have a note. This is from the Conservation Commission, Town of Chatham, August 13th. The applicant submitted a notice of intent on May 3rd, 2026. The project was continued to September 9th, 2026 for revisions and a draft order of conditions. The project will be conditioned to meet the performance standards under the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Chatham Local Wetland Bylaw Chapter. Then we have a letter. This is dated August 25th. It's from John Farrell Jr. and Pamela Farrell. They're at 282 Stage Island Road. They write, unfortunately, we are unable to support this request. Approving this request will likely result in the loss of our substantial current view of Stage Harbor and coastal views, including the Stage Island Light. Although we realize that we do not hold a view easement, the fact remains that approving this request will negate the views we have enjoyed since purchasing the 282 property 18 years ago. Hopefully, the applicants will develop a solution that works for them and the abutters. And then we have a letter dated August 26th. And this is from the Stage Island Common Land and Road Trust. We, the trustees, are representing the trust and are writing to comment on the proposed zoning request. The trust was established in 1964, and the deed creating the right-of-way is recorded in the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds, certificate such and such. The trust deed provides for the election of up to 5 trustees whose duties include maintaining the road, including general maintenance, signage, storm basin integrity, overall safe passage for all residents, guests, and vendors. As trustees, our responsibility is to ensure that the rights and safety of all the Stage Island residents are preserved. The trustees have an obligation to protect island residents from traffic, parking, safety, liability issues. The trustees do not support any encroachment upon the 40-foot setback from the Stage Island Road boundary. The roadway at 270 Stage Island Road property is particularly narrow and has a sharp curve at the 270 frontage. Trustees want to reserve the rights of the trust to potentially reconfigure the road at any future date. Any reduction in the setback would negatively impact this capability. Second, this property overlooks a parcel of land that is owned in common, parcel 120 on the Chatham Assessor's map. This parcel is assessed by a 20-foot right-of-way from the road through the 270 Stage Island property to the water. We would like to ensure that the residents' access is preserved. We appreciate the board's consideration of this letter and urge the board not to approve the variance. Well, we've gone on that one. Okay, that's the extent of the correspondence. Now I'll ask for anyone here on Microsoft who wishes to either speak against this or has a specific question. Is there anyone who wishes to join the conversation? Yes, sir. If you go to the microphone, please. No talking. Either mic should work.
David Welber, 336 Stage Island Road. I am the longest-serving trustee. I don't know why. And I just want to add a point of order. At that corner, we're all subject to the vagaries and peccadillos of David Davis, and he did a couple of strange things. One is to get the frontage, I believe, for the lot, he curved the right-of-way into, well into the lot to get enough frontage. That's kind of reflected in there. But what isn't is when they paved the road, when they got to that corner, the right-of-way, swings out and goes out. The pavement goes right next to, on the inside, right next to the edge of the right-of-way. So when they talk about the pavement, being X number of feet from the pavement, that's true, but the pavement isn't in the right place either. That's the way it was set up. So if we were to reconfigure the road to get rid of the curve, we would certainly at some point move that out further south, I guess, to the outside, to be more in the center of the right-of-way. So that's where some of the trustees' concerns came up about being that close to the right-of-way or impinging on the right-of-way at that particular space. That's all.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to join the conversation? Lady in the back.
I'm Deborah Nelson, 230 Stage Island Road, and I am also one of the 5 road trustees. Just because of all the vegetation that encroaches into the 40-foot road setback from the road, it's difficult, and the corner is at 270 is particularly dangerous. And we've had a close call there. And we carry liability insurance, but I sure would hate to use it. I would just like to reserve the rights for the trustees, for the trust for all of us on the island, to perhaps make this a more safe curve in the road.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes? The gentleman in the back.
My name is John Farrell, also known as Jack Farrell. I'm also chairman of the Stage Island Road Trust. Debbie and Mr. Wilbur have spoken on our behalf. From a personal standpoint, again, we're at 282 Stage Island Road. We've owned the property for 19 years. We bought the property. We always had a concern about our view, as a lot of people would. And granted, we do not own a view easement. But we also looked at the property. We looked at the property owned by Lemrongs at the time. And we realized that without significant a variance or a special permit, building that house up would probably not happen. And therefore, we felt comfortable in purchasing the property. If the property is built as it is now, instead of looking at Stage Harbor Light, we'll be looking at a asphalt or wood shingle roof line. So we therefore cannot recommend approving that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to join the conversation? Don't see anyone. Did you want to rebuttal, Mr.?
Not necessarily a rebuttal, because, of course, as you know, the road is not at issue. I will be happy to hand out, for the board's interest, a copy of a prior plan which had something called Goat Way, which was a road that ran from Stage Island Road down to the duck blinds, which no longer exist. When Mr. Davis redivided the land, Goat Way was eliminated, and I'd be happy to pass these out to you. Actually, what happened is that Mr. Davis, instead of making a buildable lot, converted, instead of doing something to make one lot, he converted 2 lots, 2 previous non-conforming old lots into one conforming lot. That's neither here nor there. But Secondarily, we certainly are concerned because the Finneys live out there as well, are concerned about the danger, as it were, on that corner. But if you look at the second page of the handout, to straighten the corner, to make it less sharp, I'm not an engineer, but I would think that you'd have to carve off a piece of Lot 47 to make that corner any less severe. That the loop that goes into what is shown as Lot 114, which is the Finneys lot, doesn't create the sharp turn. The sharp turn is created by the fact that Lot 47 sticks out in the middle of the road. We're not proposing that anyone do that. It's nothing to do with us, but I simply wanted to express that. We understand the concerns that the Land and Common Land and Trust Road Trust trustees have expressed, and again, we are not proposing, when we return to you, we will not be proposing to get closer than 40 feet from the legal layout, regardless of the pavement. We'll be 100 feet back from the pavement. We will be much further from the layout than are many houses on the island.
Okay. So we're now going to questions, but it's more like questions and concerns, so that you can convey to Mr. Litchfield for his client concerns you might have. So we won't go any further than that. We're not going into deliberations. So, Dave.
Well, I haven't, I would say I haven't necessarily developed concerns yet, but I wanted to ask, I think I can see the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask anyway. I was somewhat surprised in seeing that the footprint is increasing by, I don't know, what is it, about 400 square feet, plus or minus.
339.
But the gross floor area is going from 5,600 plus or minus to 9,100 plus or minus. And I'm assuming there's a basement under the existing structure, and that gross floor area includes a basement, et cetera. It looks to me, from looking at the drawings here, that there's parts of the existing building that, parts of it that I could call, 1.5 story-ish, and then parts that I would call essentially single story. So is it additional second floor area that creates that jump in number?
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I'd let Mr. Dartamella respond, and then I have a further comment.
Yeah, so there's naturally in a 1.5 story, the plate height is typically 1 story. What you get in the half story are dormers and roof features, but you don't get an increase in that plate. What you see here is similar footprint, but there's far less basement under this house than there would be under the proposed. And that's probably due to just construction techniques and the existing architecture evolving over time. Here, when we talk about the proposed house being 1.5 story, yes, primarily you're adding second floor space underneath that roof line, which is not currently there in the existing house. So there's a lot of square footage both being added in the lower level, which is not visible at all.
Yeah, okay.
It doesn't change the mass and scale of the house. And inside of the roof lines that currently you would normally think would be 1 story. Had it not been for floor plan of the second floor, this house could very well be a 1-story house as well. We could have living space just on the first floor. And the dormers become features in the second floor that are architectural in cathedral spaces. Mm-hmm. So it's not as much about a square footage as it is a mass. And this being a similar mass, and in fact, in some cases, even lower mass than a lot of the other houses in the neighborhood, is what we were really trying for, to maintain that vocabulary that we would see consistent across New England vernacular architecture.
And if I could, to follow up on that in response to your question, Mr. Veach, we use this gross floor area number because we're required to. The fact of the matter is, if you look at page 23 of the big plan, the fact of the matter is that most of the existing house has only a crawl space. Under our
So that part I didn't.
Under our rules, we don't count
It's
it.
not counted.
Right.
Understood. So that part I hadn't had a chance to
Yeah,
study that part. So-
the footprint of the first floor is approximately 3,700, almost 3,800 square feet. The basement's only 800 square feet. So 3,000
Yeah.
square feet of the GFA increases because we're having a full
It's
basement.
full basement, okay. That's,
Which, as Mike said, nobody's going to see.
that's all right. So there's more there in addition, contributing to that gross floor area than second floor.
Much, much more.
So then my next question then would be, and I don't know if the information here is any, but the ridge elevations of the existing house and the proposed house, what kind of differences do we have there?
It is on the Merrill plan. We're going to be at 29 and a half, I believe, and maybe you can go faster than I can.
I didn't bring my glasses, so just bear with me.
Mr. Mackey, you look younger than Mr. Tartamella and I. Why don't you tell us?
We are under the 30-foot height restriction, I can assure you of
That much I understand. I'm looking, I don't know where the existing ridges sit. That's what I'm trying to get.
We'll come back to you with that.
Okay.
Because it is a function of, as you know, average mean grade.
It's grades and all of it.
I don't want to
goes on.
misspeak about
So-
where the existing house is.
Sure,
right?
okay, that's fine. I think that's really, those are my only questions for now, thanks, Steve.
Okay, Paul?
Actually, the questions I had were the same ones that Dave raised, because, of course, the gross floor area changes sort of leap out at you, and I don't know that they're consistent with the balance of the homes that are out there. But that, as I said, we can look at the final designs and see how they look, along with the question of the change in the roof height. Parenthetically, I was coming down Stage Island Road, going north to south to this property, and almost got hit by a pickup truck coming the opposite direction. So I understand the problem that people have in terms of the road and what goes on there, but give us an opportunity to take a look at the final design, and then we can give you some more feedback, I think.
Historically, and I'm talking back to when the Davises were in charge, there was a general tendency when you came up the hill to take a left. It wasn't one way, but I think most people went that way. It made Mr. Wilbur's life, Mr. Wilbur has left, but given that he lives on the opposite side, it would have made his life rather difficult. Whether the Land and Road Trust ever wants to address that is totally up to them, not to me.
I have no other questions this time.
I guess my only concern, I think you said the proposed ridge is about 29 and a half feet high. To me, I know, and I realize that this is probably all going to change, maybe some of it is, but it seems like there's a lot of roof above the dormers in the central part of the house, and I'm just wondering if something could be done. I know it's a gambrel style, and they tend to add roof area, or I don't know if there's an attic up there, but there just seems to be something that you can do with the ridge height of this house, and that might address some of the concerns of the neighbors also. Other than that, it's kind of hard to ask questions about something that's going to change, so I think I'd rather wait and hold my questions.
And we appreciate that. We'll certainly take the suggestions about the amount of roof and the height. Mr. Mackey and Mr. Tartamella will look at that. I dare say that the broader design may not change, so if there are comments on that, we'd be happy to hear them. I rather suspect it may be reduced and it may be reconfigured, but I don't know that there's any plan to completely revise the unless the board would like a Vermont ski chalet A-frame style, which I tend to doubt, so.
I know how you love gambrels, so, we could change that if you wish.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's, what you have here, at least in these drawings, are, it's a very handsome house, but, I think some modifications might go a long way. Thank you.
Lee?
Well, I think it's a beautiful, obviously beautiful site, beautiful home. I am hearing the neighbors' concerns and some of our board members' concerns regarding the ridge height of all of the different structures. I love the design. I love that it looks like a rambling house, but it's a big house. I am looking forward to seeing what you come up with.
Yeah, from my standpoint, a couple of things. I don't think I have any questions, but I do have comments. I don't find the design to be compatible with the neighborhood. There's nothing like it. I mean, this is a massive house with a carriage house. I mean, there's nothing at all like it. It's, as Lee points out, it's a great design, but not for Stage Island. Maybe Wellesley, maybe Weston, something like that, but not for us. And again, as I mentioned earlier, when there's maximums and it's almost like when folks go over maximums, now here I'm talking about really the square footage, what your percentage is and all that. It's almost they're saying zoning, it doesn't apply to me. It doesn't apply to me. I hear you, and it's a good thing, but I need an extra 400 square feet over whatever you have today, which is extra. This to me is not acceptable, as I have pointed out in other situations, even just today. So, to me, the house has to be reduced substantially in size for it to be what I would consider to be compatible.
Could we just address a few of the comments? In terms of the house being a Wellesley Weston house, I mean, we've, as you know, we've done a number of projects in town. In fact, we have 2 projects upstairs that received preservation awards. And the mass and scale of a gambrel being a 1.5-story house is not inconsistent with what you'd find in Chatham. And in terms of zoning not applying to us, we're before you simply because of nonconformities and special permits. We're not looking to do anything nefarious or anything outside of zoning. In terms of it not being appropriate for Stage Harbor, we're going to study the architecture a little bit closer and come back to you with some adjustments. While I sympathize with the neighbors in terms of view, that's not something that really necessarily is, as we understand, in their purview. But we'll take in consideration the mass and scale, the nature of the house as it's lateral across the site, which is not dissimilar to what's there. And we'll consider the ridge height and the mass of the roof and the area of that roof. But in terms of this being a big house, it's a 1% increase of the existing footprint. It's a 1% increase. So while I appreciate the comments and feedback, there's also been a very high level of attention to detail to the design and its appropriateness and its consistency with the overall vocabulary of the area. So I appreciate it's not Wellesley or Weston. In fact, we would probably not design a house like this in Wellesley Weston, and that's not the only area that we do work. So is there any other zoning aspect that we're not meeting that you don't feel like applies to us here that we need to revisit? I'd like to understand that before we come back to you.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Okay, I think we've accomplished what we wanted to do, Mr.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We appreciate your
Should ask for a
time.
continuance, please.
We would respectfully request, just one minor comment, as the board full well knows, but for the folks who are watching, whenever zoning is changed, it creates nonconformities. And that provides this board as an avenue for relief. The building coverage limitation was formerly 25%. It is now 15%. We aren't, in most cases, and 10 in some others. So we're not, this is a function of the law, for better or worse. With that, Mr. Chairman, we would respectfully request that you continue this matter until October 22nd.
Dave?
Yep, I will move to grant the request to continue application number 26-066 to October 22nd.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Veach votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
And I vote yes, and
Thank you very
on the
much.
22nd.
Thank you very much.
Okay. What time is it, sir? Okay, is it 5:05?
5:05.
Okay. Does anybody need a break? No, okay, good,
This one's shit. This one's another Litchfield.
okay. All right, so let's go on to 26-072, please.
He's running out. Application number 26-072, Colin A. Hines, care of William G. Litchfield Esquire, 330 Orleans Road, North Chatham, Mass. 02650. Owner of property located at 10 Kingsbury Way, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map, 14D, Block 17B, Lot 9B. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a nonconforming dwelling in a nonconforming lot via the construction of a partial second-floor addition, porch, and closet addition. The existing dwelling is nonconforming in that it is located 20.3 feet from the road, 7.2 feet from the westerly abutter, 12.5 feet from the easterly abutter, and within the Coastal Conservancy District floodplain elevation 11. The proposed porch addition will be nonconforming in that it will be located 16.6 feet from the road, and the proposed closet addition will be nonconforming 13.3 feet from the road where a 25-foot setback is required. And the additions will be within the Coastal Conservancy District where a 50-foot setback is required. The existing building coverage is 1,133 square feet, 55.8%, and the proposed building coverage is 1,250 square feet, 61.6%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is nonconforming in that it contains 2,030 square feet of buildable upland where 20,000 square feet is required, and contains 5,388 square feet of land area where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Sections 6 and 9, and Sections 5B and 8D, 2B of the protected bylaw.
Mr. Litchfield.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Bill Litchfield, here on behalf of the the Hines family. We would request, please, that this matter be continued till October 22nd. I anticipate on October 22nd that we may well request to withdraw without prejudice. The applicant has had some change of plans. We won't know with certainty what's going to happen until a little bit later. So if the board would continue this till October 22nd, we would be grateful.
The only problem is we're loading up the 22nd already, so if you did have to have a presentation, how about the next week?
I have no objection. It was Ms. Clark who suggested the date, so it doesn't matter to me.
Oh, I know, but we're filling that up.
It's filled out.
Yeah. November 5th?
Absolutely.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
I will move to grant the request to continue application number 26-072 to November 5th.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Veach votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
I vote yes. That's
Thank you.
unanimous. Thank you very much. Did you take one of these?
Yes.
Okay. I have a few.
Application number 26-071, Christopher and Kristen Loftus, care of William F. Riley Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 98 Oceanport Lane, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 9B, Block 42, Lot G13. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a nonconforming dwelling in a nonconforming lot via the demolition of the existing dwelling and the construction of a new dwelling. The existing dwelling is nonconforming, and that it is located 12.5 feet from the westerly abutter, where a 15-foot setback is required. The proposed dwelling will comply with all bulk and dimensional requirements of the bylaw, but is considered a substantial alteration and under the second except clause of Section 6 of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, requires the grant of a special permit. The existing building coverage is 1,312 square feet, 13.4%, and the proposed building coverage is 1,435 square feet, 14.6%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is nonconforming in that it contains 9,811 square feet, where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the protective bylaw.
Mr. Riley.
Good afternoon. Bill Riley on behalf of Chris and Kristen Loftus. This is a property they've owned for quite a few years. And as they approach retirement, they said they need to modify the structure to prepare for the future. They're lucky because they have a very talented architect who's a member of the family, Abby Parker, who's next to me today. And so Abby has done the design, and she's going to give you an explanation of how the design accomplishes the goals of the family. Go ahead, Abby.
Hi, my name is Abigail Loftus. Thank you. I'm the architectural designer here today in support of Christopher and Kristen Loftus. For many years, I've been able to gain a great understanding of the lifestyle of the clients, the character of the neighborhood, and the potential of the site. After receiving an architectural degree and now working professionally in the field for the past 4 years, the clients were confident in my ability to create the design that successfully translates their needs, and it's been an honor to do so. Mr. Riley will speak on how our design fits within the criteria, but I'd like to focus on number 5, impact of scale, siting, and mass on neighborhood visual character, including views, vistas, and streetscapes. There will be an impact of scale, siting, and mass on neighborhood visual character, including views, vistas, and streetscapes, but I believe it will not be a negative, substantial, or detrimental impact, but rather a positive, favorable, and refreshing change for the neighborhood. As stated before, there's a good mix of different size structures in the and lots in the neighborhood, and each reacting to and supporting the needs and lifestyles of each resident. The proposed design for 98 Oceanport Lane will support the residents' unique needs of an updated, sustainable, and healthy home, while still respecting the vernacular and character of the surrounding area with wood shingles, reverse gable roof. The proposed building height is 26.9 feet, where the grade plane is 31.6 feet, and the ridge elevation is 55.5 feet, which is under the maximum elevation of 61.6 feet. The proposed structure will fall in line visually and in similar massing to the 2 other properties on the west of to the west on Oceanport Lane. And then to support the visual character of the proposed structure, I would like to further explain the details of the design. The overall concept of the design is creating an axis between private dwellings to the west and open entertaining space to the east. The axis is represented by a stone veneer wall to resemble the line of beach rock that separates the calm sands of our beaches with the lively water of our seas. On the basement level, a private bedroom to the west is separated from media and storage room to the east, with all spaces on this level having a 9.5-foot ceiling height to achieve some comfort below grade. On the main level, a primary bedroom is to the west, while the open kitchen and dining rooms are to the east, along with pantry, powder, and mudroom areas. All of the spaces on the main level have a ceiling height of 8.5 feet, with the exception of 2 areas that will be open to the level above and have a ceiling height of 17.5 feet. This will be in the entryway to give the user a comfortable invitation into the home, and over the living area to the south, allowing natural light to penetrate the internal core of the house and allow the space to be passively warmed. On the second level, a private bedroom is to the east, while a bridge over the main living area below connects to an office, storage, seating space, and outdoor roof deck to the west. The ceiling height above the bridge, storage, and seating area is 7.5 feet, and the bedroom and office areas will all have sloped ceilings following the slope of the roof, with spring points being at 8 feet. The Loftus family values human connection and creating strong community. Growing up on this site and in this family, I learned this every day through seeing how we utilize our space and interact with everyone around us, such as inviting numerous friends and neighbors over for meals on our existing decaying deck, or inside the house to show and talk about the documentation of our established history in Chatham and our shared love for the town we are lucky enough to call home. In my proposed design, the opening entertaining side of the house on the interior and exterior is larger than the private side of the house based on this idea. From the street view, the goal was to create a facade that intrigues the passerby and invites them to have a gaze through the warm center hearth of the home. This welcomes guests to approach and allows residents to provide a comfortable level of hospitality. This design presents a significant increase in overall mass of the structure, but I believe it is necessary and beneficial for the client's needs and will have a positive and respectful impact on the integrity of the site and the neighborhood. In conclusion, my goal was to make the proposed new construction conform with the restrictions of the site and square footage requirements, while also providing a design that not only meets the client's needs, but provides a sustainable and energy-efficient solution.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, so you're familiar with the Oceanport subdivision. It's an old subdivision, and on the north side of it, you have Hunter Rise, which is a recent subdivision with 10 substantial homes. And on the south side of it, you have Summer Hill, also a recent subdivision with substantial homes. But in Oceanport, you have some of the original cottages, as this one is, and you also have other buildings that have been modified and improved. I think this design is very much in keeping with the size of the houses that have been improved, and certainly is not overwhelming to the original cottages, most of which are on the north side. More of the houses that have been improved are on the south side with the Loftus property. So I'd like to run through the criteria and give you guys something to talk about. So we believe the site is adequate for the proposed use because the proposed building meets all dimensional requirements. And it's in fact almost 45 feet back from the street, where only 25 feet is required. The proposed building is 1,435 square feet of coverage, or 14.6%, where 15% is allowed. The height of the building is only 26 feet from the average grade, where 30 feet is allowed. Compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. Oceanport Lanes, as we said, is an older subdivision, but we have done our usual third-page comparison, and we think that the product, as proposed today, is very much compatible with the size of the other properties in the neighborhood. The extended proposed increase in non-conforming nature, again, we do provide an increase in living area, which under Bransford, as you know, constitutes an intensification of the existing nonconformity on an undersized lot. Suitability of the site, including but not limited to impact on neighboring properties or on the natural environment, including slopes, vegetation, wetlands, groundwater, water bodies, and stormwater runoff. The site is suitable for the proposed construction, although the lot slopes from back to front. The grading around the construction of the home has reduced the steepness of the grade. The applicant has provided dry wells to contain runoff from roof, and with grass lawn and stone driveway, Any stormwater landing on the lot itself will be absorbed within the lot itself. There are no wetlands, groundwater, or water bodies to be concerned about. In fact, the scale, siding, and mass on the neighborhood visual character, building views, vistas, and streetscapes. Here, there really aren't so much views and vistas. It's really a question of impact on the streetscape. I think, as Abby has explained, with the building setback, 44 feet from the street, where only 25 feet is required, the bulk of the building is behind the front entryway area, further reducing the impact of on the neighborhood. Accordingly, the applicant believes that the scale, siding, and mass of the proposed project will have a positive impact on the neighborhood, won't interfere with any views or vistas, and is certainly not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. So compatibility of the proposed use with neighboring uses, it's a single-family home and a single-family neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't think you need to go through the rest of them. Thank you.
Really, I'm prepared to
That's quite, no.
on and on and on.
That's
and
quite
on.
sufficient. All done?
All done.
All right. Is there anyone here today or in Microsoft Teams who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate you wish to join the conversation. Okay. I'll read the correspondence. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters. They're all in support.
Mr. Chairman, you can paraphrase.
7. All in support.
Yes.
I'll read the health letter, all right? Yeah, okay. I'll just tell you, well, Andrew Grover wrote, he's our new health agent, based on the existing records and permits on file, so forth. This is a 3-bedroom residence, and what they want to do is maintain it. In regard to the septic system, the applicant's proposing to remove the existing septic tank and replace it with an H20 1,500-gallon septic tank and connect it to the existing leach pit. The new tank meets Title V and local setback requirements. One item to note, I recommend the new driveway be no closer than 5 feet to the existing leach pit unless the applicant can demonstrate the existing leach pit is H10 rated. That could be demonstrated by having it inspected by a Title V and system inspector. Based on these findings, I find the aspects of the proposed project that fall within the health department's jurisdiction to be acceptable. And that's enough of that, I think. So I'll just tell you, I'm not going to read these letters, it's just too much, and they all are in great support. Darrell and Patty Thomas, Matt Mendoza, Gail and Patrick Garvey, Betsy Ludwig, Catherine and Stephen Curran, Carla Burzak and Stephanie Smith, Kelly and Stephen Evans. They're all in support, and no letters the other way. So, is there anyone here or in Microsoft Teams that wishes to either speak against this or has a specific question? If so, please indicate you want to speak. Don't see anybody. Are there any questions from anybody on the board?
There's always one.
What is it?
Are there any thoughts of either air conditioning or generator for this property?
Yes, there is. It would be located in the back southwest
Shown on the site plan, Steve.
southwest corner of the site,
Yeah, shown on the site plan.
behind,
Oh, it is? I'm sorry.
adjacent to the master bathroom.
Never mind. I was looking at the old,
Oh,
never mind. Thank you. My question's been answered. Thanks.
Thad Eldridge likes to have everything.
Yeah. Okay.
But, yeah,
Got it. Thank you.
they do meet the setback.
Lee?
Just out of curiosity, the shingles, the siding, is it going to be the white cedar shingles? Is it going to be something, or it looks like it's a little darker?
We propose to do wood shingles.
So the white cedar
Yes.
that will fade naturally?
Yes.
Okay. And just out of curiosity's sake, the roof area, way up top, is that for just viewing, or can you sit there?
It would be for viewing, similar to a widow's walk.
Okay.
Maybe have a seat or two.
Okay. That's all I have, thanks.
Okay. Dave, Paul, Dave? Paul?
No
Okay.
questions, no.
No, no questions, Chris.
So I'll move to close the hearing, move into deliberations.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Beach votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
I vote yes. All right, deliberations. Dave?
Well, I really like this proposal as much as the neighbors do, apparently. They certainly, I believe they've lived in the present cottage for quite a period of time, and this is going to be a welcome addition of space that they'll need to live there on a year-round basis. And in my judgment, it very much fits the neighborhood. It's an improvement. It's not substantially detrimental in any way, shape, or form. And the only other thing that I would say, which I was encouraged by the applicants to, I met them and had a conversation with them about the project, and I mentioned this, and I've made this comment to other owners from time to time, that the deck and decks and exterior spaces that seeming by my observation, when I see this kind of thing, when I see these things in second and third level decks and all that, that the use of the decks is in inverse proportion to the distance from the kitchen and living room. And
bar.
yeah, we tower the bar. And we just talked about that a little bit. And they just encouraged me to mention at the meeting for the architect. And that's all I have to say about that.
Paul?
Well, Mr. Riley could have sat down when the architect finished talking. I think that would have been the most effective presentation he could have made. But she did a very good job.
Thank you.
And the neighborhood is a great neighborhood. You can tell that from the letters that we received and from driving through there. I mean, it's a place that's hidden, and you would never think of it off of Barn Hill Road. Everybody goes zooming right down to the landing or zooming back up to the beach or to the main street. And you miss it. But it's a nice spot, and certainly this proposal is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. I think it'll be a great complement to it.
Yeah, I think this is a good project, did before, and so that's been fixed. You meet all the dimensional requirements, the height, the coverage, all this other stuff. So I think that's really great. You received many endorsements from the abutters, so I think everyone's happy. And I think it'll be a great project if it makes everybody happy, so good luck.
Hey.
Yep, I agree with my colleagues. First of all, great neighborhood, never been down there before. I think that the new house is, it's unique in a good way, and it's a real improvement for what's there now. So, full support, meets our criteria. Great job.
Yeah.
So Dave, you just want to give her a standing O?
Well, whatever your fee might have been should be transferred. How's that? You know, this is a great example. You know, we talk about how does a neighborhood feel about something and how does it impact, and when we have this kind of support, it's awfully easy. It's awfully easy to say yes. Okay.
Okay, well, I'm going to move approval for application number 26-071. The question would come up about conditions. Has there been any discussion, Mr. Riley, about the summer work condition that we normally apply? Is that?
I did tell them that most likely they wouldn't be able to do exterior construction during the summer.
Yeah, it's a pretty tight neighborhood. Yeah, so our standard conditions, which we would apply then, so first of all construction activity and vehicles should be contained on site or at a neighboring property with permission of the property owner. Between June 30th and Labor Day, no exterior construction will be allowed. No work shall be permitted on the weekends. Construction activity between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. only.
I will second the motion and vote yes.
Veach votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
I vote yes, and that's a unanimous decision. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
And with that,
I move for adjournment.
I second the motion and vote yes.
Veach votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
I vote yes. We are adjourned at
5:19 PM.
5:19. Great.